Hi everyone, I hope you're staying happy and healthy and safe at home. I also hope that you enjoyed last week's video and were able to learn a little bit of something. This week we're going to be jumping into privacy and what that means for yourself and for those around you. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. Alright, so before we talk about privacy, I just want to review last week's lesson on organization and cleanliness. So what we saw in last week's video was a girl who was cleaning her room, and before it was really messy, and she had some friends come over and they didn't end up wanting to hang out with her because her room was too messy. And then afterwards we saw her cleaning up her room, putting trash in a trash can, picking up her clothes off the floor, making her bed, and then her friends came over afterwards and were like, wow, we can finally, see your floor and sit in your bed and hang out. And it was a better space for her to invite her friends over to have a good time together. So it really showed how being cleanly and organized can help your relationships with everyone around you, whether it's your family or your friends or anyone who you want to invite to your space. So just a few pointers that we talked about last week, and I'm going to review them real quick, and that's how many times you should be washing your laundry and washing your bedspread, your sheets, and your pillowcases or any blankets on your bed. So you should be doing these things once or twice every week, or a couple of times every few weeks. So as long as you're washing your clothes and your sheets and your pillowcases and everything like that, so they stay clean and they stay smelling good, then everything will be okay. So now let's talk a little bit about privacy. Alright, so now let's talk about privacy and what it means to you and how it pertains to your life. So first, let's define privacy. Privacy is being alone, not being seen, not being heard, or a private topic that is shared between you and someone you trust. So let's say you have something that you really want to talk about, you don't want to do it in public, you would do it in a private space with you and somebody that you trust. So now let's go over a few spaces that should be private or should be considered a room where you can go for some privacy for yourself or somebody else that you trust. So this should be your home, your bedroom, your bathroom. Privacy is also being alone in your room or bathroom with the door closed, your blinds and curtains shut. Any camera or computers should be turned off if you're trying to be in private. And intercoms and baby monitors are also turned off. So when it comes to, cameras and computers being shut off and intercoms or baby monitors being shut off, I think this really is trying to say that if you want to tell somebody something in private, that these things should not be around. So you shouldn't have your camera out or your phone out texting or making a video of somebody when you're trying to talk about something that's private. And the same thing goes for intercoms or any baby monitors. These should be shut off as well if you're trying to have a private conversation. So now the opposite of those private spaces like your home or your bathroom or your bedroom are more public spaces. So some public spaces are that we usually are in every day would be your school, the locker room at school. Let's say you play soccer or basketball and you go in the locker room, the mall, or a park or a playground, or a public restaurant or restroom, in the park or the playground, or maybe at a restaurant or somewhere out in public where there's a restroom. Okay, so now that we talked about some private spaces and some public spaces, I'm going to show you guys a video called Dressing in Private Demonstration. So it's going to show somebody dressing in private, and then afterwards we're going to answer a few questions and go over what we saw in the video.
I'm going to get dressed and I want to make sure no one sees me. Now that I'm dressed, I can open my door.
Alright, so I hope you guys learned something from that video, and I just want to go over a couple things and when it's okay to undress somewhere or get dressed somewhere, and why it may or may not be okay. So a few places that it is okay to get undressed or get dressed is your bedroom or your home bathroom, because these places you're able to shut the door and you can know that people probably won't come in if they know you're getting changed. Another spot would be the doctor's office. If the doctor or the nurse asks you to get undressed, that is an okay place to get undressed and then get redressed again. Another spot that is okay most of the time to get undressed would be your school bathroom, school locker room, or a dressing room at a swimming pool. So most of the time this is okay because you may need to change for gym class or to put on your bathing suit, but you want to make sure that you're in a private of enough space if people are around that you're able to get undressed in private. And if not, you may want to wait a second or go into a restroom where you know you can go into the bathroom and lock the door behind you so you can get undressed. In a few places where it's not okay to get undressed would be your home living room, because your mom, your dad, your brother, and your sister could come in at any time, and it's not a very private place to be to get undressed. And another place is the backyard or the mall or camping. So being in your backyard or at the mall or camping aren't really places that you should be getting undressed by yourself, because there are people that are going to be around you most of the time, and you really want to be in a space where you can lock the door or be alone in privacy to get undressed. Okay, so now that we reviewed some places that are private, somewhere where you can go to be alone or somebody that you want to share something with, such as a trusted adult, let's talk about some things that are considered private talk. So private talk occurs in person or with one other person on a phone. So these things that you talk about with one other person in privacy could be about bodily functions such as passing gas or menstruation, right? Those are private topics. Sexual activities, medical issues, family issues, or personal information such as your phone number, your social security number, your address, or your credit card information. So all of those topics are to be talked about in private with somebody you trust. And some places that you don't want to talk about private things would be through tweeting, texting, on social media sites, or by email. So doing any of that could mean that your message that you want to be said in private could go elsewhere if you do this through social media, through texting, or by emailing. So you really want to make sure that when you're sharing something that's private, it's with somebody who's alone and who has your attention and you have their attention. You guys are able to talk where they can really listen to you and you know that your information will not be shared with anybody else. Okay, so now that we've learned about private spaces and private topics, we're going to learn about things that you do in private, so private behavior. And a few examples of things that you would do in private include menstruation or changing your tampons or pads. This should be done in private in the bathroom with the door closed. Passing gas. So if you pass gas, you want to make sure you do this in private and away from other people if possible. And the same goes for belching or burping. You want to make sure if you have to belch or if you have to burp that you're doing this by yourself in private and not when other people are around. Another thing is scratching or touching your genitals. So you want to make sure that if you have to do that, you're alone in a bathroom or a bedroom with the door closed. And next is sexual activity. So you want to make sure if you are engaging in any sexual activity, you're doing this alone in private. And next is picking or blowing your nose. And you want to make sure you do this away from others if possible. And if you can't do this away from others if possible, you want to make sure you have a tissue or something to blow your nose in, preferably tissue or toilet paper, and then you do it in there and then you immediately throw it away. Alright, so I hope you guys learned something so far, and now we're going to do a Check for Understanding worksheet together. Alright, here are Check for Understanding privacy questions. So number 1, private areas are in my bedroom with the curtains closed, in the mall, outside on the street, where no one can hear me, or in my bathroom at home. So I'm going to go with in my bedroom with my curtains closed is a private area, where no one can hear me is another private area, and then in my bathroom at home. So the mall and outside on the street are two public areas and are not considered to be private. Number 2, private talk may be about the weather, bodily functions, family issues, sports, sex, or movies. So I'm going to go with bodily functions such as passing gas or menstruation. We talked about that in the video. Family issues, and sex. So these are all topics that you want to talk about in private with a trusted individual or another trusted adult. And these are not public topics to be talking about with an acquaintance or someone who you be making small talk with. All right, number 3. When my clothes are dirty or wet, I need to change them immediately no matter where I am, in the privacy of my room or a private changing area, in the middle of the hallway at school, and at the mall in the store of my choice. So I'm going to go with in the privacy of my room or a private changing area. So the only place you should be changing or taking your clothes off and putting new clothes on is in the privacy of your room at home or a private changing area such as a locker room or a private bathroom where you can shut and lock the door. Any of these other options are too public of places where you should not be changing. Number 4, wearing clothes is important in public because I might get my body dirty outside, someone might call the police, I might go to jail, or I might offend someone, or all of the above. So this one is all of the above. So if you do not wear clothes in public and you go outside naked, you could get your body dirty, someone could call the police. If somebody calls the police, you might go to jail. And you also may offend somebody if you're not wearing clothes outside. So it's really important to always be dressed when you're going outside. And lastly, number 5. If I walk around my house without clothes on and someone is at the door, I need to get dressed fast and then answer the door, ignore the door, go to the window and then show them I have no clothes on, or answer the door immediately. So we're going to go with get dressed fast and answer the door. So you never want to go to the door without clothes on. You never want to go to the door naked. You always want to make sure you're fully clothed. All right, so this is our check for understanding privacy questions. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you were able to learn a little bit of something and enjoyed this video. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next week.